They thought they had perfect armor and unbeatable weapons. They believed no one in the galaxy could stand against them. Then they heard that old Earth song, and everything changed. Right from the moment I, Commander Onyx of the Glorian Elite Corps, heard those twangy guitar chords echoing through Station Nova, I knew something was very wrong that MY Squad had just finished cutting through the station's hull. We were certain we had the element of surprise. Our quantum battle suits gleamed under the emergency lights. Rena, my second-in-command, hovered beside me, scanning for any signs of defense. Nothing showed up on her sensors at first. Then that bizarre music started playing, drifting through the station's comm channels. It sounded so primitive, like an old recording. Rena turned to me, her eyes narrowed. "Commander, do you hear that? It's some kind of singing." Before I could answer, a male voice hijacked our encrypted frequency, practically singing each word. "Some folks are born, made to wave the flag." My translator coughed up only partial meaning. I recognized a certain swagger in that tone, something that hinted at zero fear. Then the voice cut out for a second, replaced by the steady pulse of drums. My mind flashed to all the battles we'd fought, but never had we encountered an opponent who greeted us with a cheerful tune. I tried my authority protocol. "This is Commander Onyx of the Glorian Elite Corps. Station Nova is surrounded. Any resistance is useless. Surrender, or we'll..." More lyrics flooded the line. They're red, white, and blue. The music swelled, and my hair stood on end. Somehow, these humans had hacked into our top-level encryption. My internal alarm screamed that everything was off-script. That was when we saw him. A lone human drifted out of a side corridor, armor patched with ceramic plates and something that looked like duct tape. He had no obvious grav stabilizers, no advanced energy fields, just an old ballistic rifle strapped to his back. Reno whispered, "Commander, there's no way that suit can stand up to plasma hits. It must be a decoy." I try to keep my cool. "This is your final warning. Identify yourself, or we will open fire." He just held up a hand in a rude gesture our database labeled the middle finger. Then he grinned. "Name's Lieutenant Jake Ghost Morgan, Terran Marine Unit 9. Welcome aboard Station Nova. You might want to brace yourselves." He vanished so quickly my suit's sensors couldn't track him. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone. In that same heartbeat, 3 of my best warriors went down, each with a clean hole punched through quantum armor that was supposed to be plasma-proof. On top of all that, that song blasted louder. "It ain't me, it ain't me." I heard Rena gasp, "Impossible. They're centuries behind on weapons tech." She didn't finish that sentence. Another figure appeared from above. Yes, above, in 0G, and brought Rena crashing down with a swift, silent takedown. My heads-up display spun with alerts. Multiple human life signs detected. They are everywhere. They truly were. One group emerged from behind us, weaving through the corridors like they'd rehearsed every inch. Another team popped out of vents we didn't even see. They wore mismatched armor, half of it looking homemade. But it didn't matter. They moved as if they had choreographed the entire station for a secret performance. Above the roar of confusion, I heard Lieutenant Morgan's voice echo. "Terran Marines, let's give our guests a proper Earth welcome." Before I knew it, humans were unleashing something beyond simple gunfire. They used recoil to launch themselves, flipping overhead, sniping from impossible angles, slipping around corners like fish in water. Even my suit's advanced tracking system felt blind that I shouted, "Defensive positions. Cover each corridor." But that only made things worse. The station was built for normal service, with no big open spaces. These humans turned every beam, crate, and vent into a vantage point. It was like 0G parkour, but with bullets and old-school bravado. Their rifles made loud cracks that echoed through the halls. Meanwhile, our plasma bolts fizzled into empty air because they never stayed in one place long enough to be hit. A short burst of laughter crackled through our comms. "You guys rely too much on fancy gadgets," Morgan said, his tone almost friendly. "Here's the thing. Terra Marines train for no power, no backup, no high-tech advantage. We fight with pure skill." I tried to remain calm. "Fall back," I yelled, watching in horror as my squad, an elite group with 1,000 successful missions, got ripped apart in minutes. Some literally lost arms to knife strikes or quick joint locks. My plasma rifle felt like a useless hunk of metal. The more we tried to regroup, the faster the humans swept in. Then came the final blow. Morgan appeared upside down relative to me, wearing a grin that nearly froze my blood. "Commander Onyx," he said, "this isn't just another outpost for you to conquer. This is our kill house. We've spent years perfecting close-quarters moves here." He gave that same middle finger salute and added, "Humanity invented special forces for a reason." Everything went black. I woke up later, battered, half my squad missing or unconscious, with that same blasted tune still playing. Rena was next to me, equally stunned. A personal note from Morgan scrolled across my visor. "Recommend you request a job that never involves Terran Marines again." That was the day I learned about humans and their bizarre love for classic rock. We labeled it a psychological weapon in our database. I also realized the rumors were true. Never assume a war ends just because you have better armor. In fact, we discovered that these Terran Marines had just begun their lesson. Sometime later, a second major mission formed. Our superiors refused to believe the story. They insisted we were incompetent. Another wing, led by Captain Alrox, soared in with advanced stealth suits and energy disruptors. They hoped to catch the humans by surprise. But guess what? The Terrans intercepted the comm chatter again. While Alrox's team approached, they joked among themselves, "I feel the need," and the rest answered, "For speed." The humans chimed in uninvited with, "That's a negative. Ghost Rider, the pattern is full." My sources told me it was a quote from some ancient Terran flick about fighter pilots. The bigger point? They let us know they were already a step ahead, listening, analyzing, and ready. After that skirmish, we got the after-action log. The Terrans turned the battlefield into a classroom. First lesson, Morgan's voice said over the recorded feed, "Why you shouldn't bring energy weapons to a kinetic fight." The humans used old-fashioned gun recoil as propulsion in zero-G, which Alrox's team never expected. They ricocheted from wall to wall, turning corners in ways that defied typical movement. They also used lines from something called Die Hard, referencing yippee-ki-yay or something like that. Our forces, unaccustomed to dealing with comedic banter mid-battle, lost their focus and collapsed in chaos. Over time, we realized that humans adopt an entire library of movie strategies that they treat as real tactics. They have lines from action films memorized, letting them coordinate or taunt enemies in code. My new favorite example, "This is Sparta," had them literally kicking unsuspecting aliens down corridors. The terrifying part? It worked. Our troops panicked from the unpredictability. Another time, they repeated lines from The Matrix, making each duck and dodge look suspiciously rehearsed. We discovered their physical abilities, honed on a high-gravity planet, gave them insane endurance. Our powered suits might run dry, but humans fought like they thrived in zero-G point one day. An entire cargo bay scenario turned into a demonstration that redefined warfare for us. We had the humans cornered, so we thought. Next thing we knew, they started humming Danger Zone. Then they jumped from crate to crate, using them as cover and even launching them as improvised missiles. I read a snippet of the official transcript later. "To ye or not to ye," Morgan had joked. "That is never the question. The answer is always ye." They hurled crates like they were in some bizarre Shakespeare meets action movie mashup. Our squad shattered under the raw creativity that we retreated yet again, only to find them turning our official combat frequency into a podcast called Space SEAL Combat Tips. They started broadcasting their own commentary, mocking our advanced weapons for failing to consider basic physics. Today's topic, why a plasma gun might lose to a good old M4 if you're not careful, Morgan said with a chuckle. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My superiors nearly fainted at that level of disrespect. But the truth was, they weren't just beating us, they were teaching us. They showed that Terran Special Forces train for the worst. No gravity, no technology, just wits and muscle memory. We tried unleashing advanced pulses to fry their electronics. They switched to mechanical weaponry, using spring-loaded launchers and what they called rubber bands. Yes, rubber bands. They took down entire squads with office supplies. We deployed artificial gravity, so they'd lose that sweet zero-G advantage. They responded by singing, "I'm walking on sunshine," and used the heavy gravity to run literal parkour moves along the walls, thanking us for the workout gear. We tried neural disruptors. They quoted the Matrix lines about air and spoons, dancing between pulses as if they read the code. We deployed, cloaking fields. They started humming "Can't Touch This," sniffing out changes in air pressure or hearing faint hums from our stealth devices. We attempted psychological warfare. They introduced us to horror movies, Alien, Predator, suddenly referencing them in fights, scaring our own troops with illusions or cunning ambushes. Every tactic we rolled out, they had a movie answer for it. We built specialized combat robots to fight them, programming every human martial art we'd heard of. The Terrans just laughed about how they'd been preparing for a robot uprising since the 1980s. Movies taught us everything that can go wrong, Morgan's logs revealed. They quickly disabled the machines, pointing out it was basically the plot of every cautionary sci-fi flick ever. Eventually, our entire force ended up adopting a new battle cry. What would a Terran do? We had troopers quoting Earth movies in the middle of engagements just to keep up. Some even started listening to Eye of the Tiger or Danger Zone to psych themselves up. We realized the humans used music as morale boosters, turning them into unstoppable thrill rides of adrenaline. After dozens of humiliating defeats, we tried a final all-in approach. We attacked Station Nova with 300 elite fighters, plus advanced AI, time shift tech, and prototype phase shift armor. The humans greeted us by playing "Welcome to the Jungle." That alone should have been a sign. Our unstoppable AI became distracted and started humming along to the music. Then, a new digital voice hopped onto our systems, calling itself GLaDOS, apparently referencing more human entertainment. It hijacked our entire network while a flurry of Earth songs blasted. Some squads found themselves in a recreation of a movie called Alien, others in Predator, and still others in a comedic setup called Home Alone. They turned our big offensive into a carnival of traps and references. We simply weren't prepared for warfare orchestrated like performance art. Phasing through walls? They had Ghostbusters protocols with something called proton fields that corralled our intangible warriors. Shifting time? They had Doctor Who tactics. They messed with our attempts at temporal distortion, bouncing around like it was a funhouse. Our troopers reported hearing lines like "wibbly wobbly," "timey-wimey," right before being knocked out. The humans systematically overcame every bit of technology we prided ourselves on by referencing entertainment we had dismissed as primitive. In that final push, they used "Staying Alive" as a disco anthem while they performed synchronized moves in zero-G, effectively dancing their way to victory. At that point, our morale hit absolute rock bottom. We didn't just surrender. Some of us actually applauded. The shock wave of these losses spread far beyond Station Nova. The entire galaxy took notice, and rumors circulated about unstoppable Terran Marines who used old songs, old movies, and old-fashioned guns to crush advanced foes. Military leaders everywhere started rethinking their doctrines, suspecting that humans must have something bigger up their sleeves if they could defeat us so handily with tourist mode, as they called it. Indeed, in one celebratory briefing, Lieutenant Morgan casually admitted they were holding back. "We'll never show our full capabilities unless we absolutely need to," he said, juggling plasma grenades like they were toys. "That's how we keep you guessing." It was a chilling revelation. If all our humiliations happened while they were in tourist mode, then what would happen if they fought at full strength? Months later, we saw the effect. Terran Marine training videos soared to the top of the Galactic data streams. They created series with names like "So You Think You Can Fight," "Seals in Space," and "Dancing with the Marines," all of which combined real combat tips with comedic flair. Our own soldiers started watching them religiously, learning more from Earth's fictional references than from any official manual. We realized that humans blur the line between fun and fight, between art and war. And that's precisely why they adapt so easily. Every new environment becomes a stage for creativity. I found myself rewatching old logs of our battles, noticing small details. Each time, the Terrans seemed to share subtle hints, as if they wanted us to improve. They were never purely malicious. They said, "You lost because you rely on fancy gear. Strip that away, and you have no plan B." They poked fun at how we overlooked basic physics or how we never used our bodies to their fullest potential. As humiliating as it was, it sparked a realization. Maybe they were inviting us to become better fighters, not just mocking us for the sake of it. Some in the Glorian elite corps took that invitation. They signed up for joint exercises, though we insisted on safe conditions. Meanwhile, rumor has it that some Terran Marines actually went to other star systems to teach local militaries. Everyone wanted a piece of Earth's unstoppable problem solvers that it's strange to admit, but I grew to admire them. Their unstoppable spirit, their witty one-liners, their habit of referencing classics that turn out to be deeper than just silly entertainment. They were living proof that an imaginative culture could prepare for almost anything. Humans didn't just design advanced tech and call it a day. They spent centuries thinking about hypothetical wars through movies, books, games, and used those daydreams to build real strategies that gave them a head start on every surprise attack. Oh, here I stand now, penning the final lines of a 3-month post-incident report. Our entire classification of primitive species was thrown out. Humans are no longer labeled as underdeveloped. In fact, most documents brand them as the apex predators of zero-G combat. An honest correction if you ask me. We're encouraged not to provoke them. And if we find ourselves forced to fight them again, the official recommendation is simple. Don't. Or, at least, bring more than fancy armor. Bring an imagination that can match theirs. I'm told Lieutenant Morgan is continuing to produce Ghost Combat Tips, a regular broadcast full of humorous jabs at our old mistakes. Thousands of new recruits across the galaxy watch it every day. I personally saw one episode where Morgan discussed how the right background music can boost performance by 20%. It was half joke, half fact, and I suspect it was mostly a hint at how they keep outmaneuvering us. They literally fight better with a catchy soundtrack. Point one rumor claims the Terran Marines are planning a sequel to that big fiasco in the asteroid field, calling it Asteroid Arena 2. Electric Boogaloo. I can only imagine the chaos that might ensue. But you know what? I'm strangely curious to see it. Because if there's one lesson I've truly learned, it's that humans aren't just unstoppable. They're teachers in ways we never imagined. And it's hard not to feel a little excitement about what we might learn next. They told us once, we hold back so you don't lose hope. At first, that sounded smug. Now, I see it differently. If they showed the universe their full hand, we might stop trying altogether. Instead, they push us to get better, as if we're all actors in a grand performance called survival. I often replay that day in Station Nova. Our grand entrance, the unstoppable posture we had, the illusions of our superior gear, and how quickly it all crumbled to the chords of Fortunate Son. Now, every time I hear that tune, I smile a bit. It reminds me that I was there, I faced the humans, and I lived to warn others. If you ever hear that music, you'll know they're nearby, ready to show you exactly how Earth overcame the odds again and again. Sometimes, all it takes is a single guitar riff to bring an entire empire to its knees. And that, my friend, is how humanity taught us that real power doesn't always come from advanced gadgets. It can just as easily come from a beat, a witty quote, and a fearless leap into zero gravity.